Managing supplier relationships is rarely smooth. One day your budget is locked, and the next you receive an email requesting a 12% price increase right before contract renewal.
Welcome back to Business English for Success. I'm Thomas, and today I'm here with Anna. In this episode, we're sharing a complete 4-part story following a real-world supply chain situation from start to finish.
That's right. Navigating supplier discussions requires a careful balance, from managing price adjustments and quality issues to handling delivery delays and debriefing your director.
Throughout this video, you'll hear how to handle these moments professionally, how to negotiate a rate respectfully, request compensation for damaged goods, resolve logistics delays, and report outcomes to leadership.
Purely practical phrases and clear strategies you can apply directly to your daily work.
Let's step into our first situation, where a long-term supplier reaches out with a sudden price adjustment request.
Imagine this. Your company's budget for next year is already set. Your director mentioned there's very limited room for extra expenses. And then your primary supplier sends an email requesting a 12% price adjustment right before contract renewal.
That puts you in a challenging situation. If you just accept it, your management team won't be satisfied. But if you say no too directly, you risk putting strain on a solid working relationship.
So instead of just saying, "That's too expensive," watch how we use a practical negotiation technique here, offering a longer contract term in exchange for a smaller price increase.
Let's listen to how this conversation unfolds between a buyer and a supplier as they navigate this real-world business situation.
Well, Anna, as we outlined in our proposal, raw material costs have gone up over the past few months. Because of this, we need to adjust our pricing by 12% for the upcoming contract period.
I appreciate you walking me through the numbers, Thomas. However, a 12% increase is quite a jump for us. Our annual budget is already finalized, so an adjustment of that size would put serious pressure on our operations.
I completely understand your situation, Anna, but our own material suppliers have raised their rates, so we are facing higher operational costs on our end. 12% is really the minimum we need to maintain our product standards.
I see where you're coming from, Thomas. Quality is non-negotiable for both of us. But if we look at our history, our order volume with you has grown by 20% each year. Is there any flexibility on that number if we commit to a longer-term agreement?
That's a fair point. You've been a key client for us. If we were to sign a 2-year contract instead of 1 year, I might be able to talk to our management about lowering that figure.
If we can lock in a 2-year agreement, could we keep the increase at 5% instead? That would allow us to stay within our budget while keeping you as our sole supplier.
5% is a bit tight for us, Anna. The absolute best I can do with a 2-year commitment is 7%. That's as low as we can go while still covering our production costs.
7% with a locked 2-year rate. That sounds like a fair compromise. Send over the revised draft, and I'll present it to our director today.
Notice what Anna did there. She didn't hesitate or argue over the 12%. She acknowledged his situation first with, "I see where you're coming from," and then offered a practical trade-off, a longer contract in exchange for a lower rate.
That turns a potential disagreement into a productive negotiation where both sides find value.
But just when Anna thought the budget issue was settled, a new challenge popped up right at the warehouse door. The first test batch arrived, and the quality control team flagged a noticeable defect rate.
This is another scenario that almost everyone working with suppliers faces at some point. You finally agree on a price, but when the shipment arrives at your warehouse, the quality isn't what you expected.
If you express frustration or push too hard, the supplier might get defensive and delay fixing the issue. But if you're too flexible, your company absorbs unexpected costs and potential schedule delays.
Right. So in this situation, watch how Anna focuses strictly on facts and data instead of emotional reactions, while pushing for two things: an immediate replacement shipment and a credit note for the defective goods.
Let's hear how she brings this issue to Thomas in an urgent alignment call.
Thanks for hopping on this quick call, Thomas. I'm contacting you because our quality control team just finished inspecting the first batch delivered this morning, and we ran into a serious issue.
Oh, really? What happened, Anna? We ran our standard checks before loading the truck.
Well, according to our inspection report, nearly 8% of the components in this shipment failed our quality standard. Our agreed limit is under 1%. An 8% defect rate is something we simply cannot accept for production.
8%? That sounds unusually high for us. Oh, it might have been a minor calibration issue on our assembly line last night. Could your team retest a few samples, just to be sure?
We've already double-checked 2 separate pallets, Thomas. The results were identical. With our production line scheduled to start on Friday, using these parts is not feasible for our production timeline. We need a clear solution today.
I understand the urgency, Anna. And let me check with our plant manager right after this call to see if we have enough spare inventory to ship a replacement batch.
Appreciate that, Thomas. We need the replacement batch delivered by Thursday morning at the latest. Also, for the defective units, we'll need your team to arrange a pickup and issue a credit note for our next billing cycle.
Fair enough. I'll prioritize this order and send you a confirmation email with the dispatch time within 2 hours.
Thank you, Thomas. I'll be waiting for your email.
Notice how clear and direct Anna was. Instead of saying, "This batch is unacceptable," she stated the exact numbers. 8% failed, our agreed limit is under 1%.
Using data keeps the conversation objective, and phrasing her position as an 8% defect rate is something we simply cannot accept makes her stance clear without sounding disrespectful.
But just when the replacement batch was set for delivery, a new challenge emerged. A disruption at the central logistics hub threatened to delay the entire shipment right before the product launch.
Late deliveries are a major challenge for any operations team. You have a launch date locked in, marketing campaigns are ready to go, and suddenly you get a call saying the shipment is delayed in transit.
In moments like this, simply complaining won't get your goods delivered on time. You need a practical alternative, like switching to express air freight, and a fair way to manage the extra cost.
Right. So in this scene, observe how Anna navigates a tight timeline. She insists on air freight to protect the launch date, but instead of asking the supplier to cover everything, she offers a realistic cost-sharing approach.
Let's listen to how she handles this urgent call with Thomas.
Hi, Anna. Look, I'm calling with an unexpected update on the replacement batch. There's heavy traffic at the regional logistics center, and ground transport is backed up. The batch won't reach your warehouse until next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday? Thomas, our product launch is set for Monday morning. If we don't have those parts by Friday afternoon, our entire production schedule gets pushed back. We cannot absorb a delay of this scale.
I completely realize that, Anna, but this transport delay is beyond our immediate control. Our trucks are stuck in line at the distribution hub.
I understand it's an external issue, Thomas, but standard ground transport won't meet our deadline this time. Is there any way we can switch this batch to express air freight instead?
Air freight is an option, but it's significantly more expensive on such short notice. Covering full air cargo fees for a whole batch would noticeably impact our project budget.
I see your point. How about this? Since time is critical for both our companies, let's split the expedited shipping cost 50-50. That way, we protect our launch date, and your team doesn't take on the full extra cost.
50-50 on air freight. That's actually a very reasonable way to handle an urgent issue. Let me clear the flight booking with our logistics lead right now.
Great. Please send me the flight tracking code as soon as it's booked so our warehouse team can prepare for arrival.
That was a great example of constructive problem solving. Notice how Anna didn't focus on assigning blame for the transport delay.
Exactly. She shifted the focus immediately to the solution. Is there any way we can switch this batch to express air freight instead? And offering to split the extra cost made it much easier for Thomas to say yes quickly.
With the replacement shipment finally on its way, there was just one final step left: sitting down with internal leadership to review what happened and set up a solid backup plan for future projects.
After resolving external issues with suppliers, there is always one important step left: reporting back to your director or internal stakeholders.
Senior leaders don't just want to hear that a problem was fixed. They want a clear summary of the outcome, how the costs were managed, and what steps are being taken to prevent it from happening again.
Right. So in this final scene, watch how Anna presents a concise update to Thomas, who is taking the role of her manager. Notice how she balances highlighting the successful launch with proposing a dual sourcing strategy for the next quarter.
Let's listen in on their internal review meeting.
Thanks for setting up this catch-up, Anna. I saw the updated timeline for the product launch. How did we end up handling the delivery schedule and the extra air freight fees?
I'm glad to share that the replacement parts arrived yesterday afternoon, so our production team stayed right on schedule for Monday's launch. Regarding shipping, we agreed to split the express freight costs 50-50 with the supplier.
That's good to hear. Splitting the air freight was a practical move given the tight timeline. But looking ahead, relying on a single vendor for critical components creates potential operational bottlenecks.
I completely agree. Moving forward, I recommend implementing a dual sourcing strategy for our key materials. Qualifying a secondary local vendor will give us a reliable backup whenever unexpected supply issues arise.
That makes a lot of sense. Please draft a quick proposal and a timeline for onboarding a secondary vendor so we can review it next week.
Will do. I'll have that draft ready for you by Monday afternoon.
This brief conversation highlights two important communication skills when reporting to leadership: summarizing results clearly and offering proactive solutions.
Phrases like, "I recommend implementing a dual sourcing strategy," show that you are looking at the bigger picture and planning ahead rather than just reacting to short-term operational challenges.
We've just walked through 4 practical supply chain scenarios. But as we all know in business, listening alone isn't enough to build fluency.
That's right. To actually use these phrases naturally in your next meeting, saying them out loud makes all the difference.
So let's take a couple of minutes to practice these key phrases together.
Repeat out loud after us and get comfortable with the phrasing. Let's get started.
Group 1, price negotiation. An adjustment of that size would put serious pressure on our operations.
Is there any flexibility on that number if we commit to a longer-term agreement?
Group 2, quality issues. An 8% defect rate is something we simply cannot accept for production.
We'll need your team to arrange a pickup and issue a credit note for our next billing cycle.
Group 3, logistics delays. If we don't have those parts by Friday afternoon, our entire production schedule gets pushed back.
How about this? Let's split the expedited shipping cost 50-50.
Group 4, internal reporting. We agreed to split the express freight costs 50-50 with the supplier.
Moving forward, I recommend implementing a dual sourcing strategy for our key materials.
Great job staying through the practice section today. Developing confidence in business English is simply a step-by-step habit.
If you found these practical workplace situations helpful, feel free to subscribe for future episodes.
Thanks for listening today, and we'll see you in the next video.